It is never too late to start living your life by design. Enjoy today's conversation with Charles Tchaikovsky Dieujuste, the visionary behind the contemporary bridal collection Scorcesa. Scorcesa has been featured in multiple media outlets like Vogue, WWD, Brides, and Fashionista, just to name a few. And Charles is joining us today fresh from the launch of his newest collection, which pays homage to his rich Haitian heritage. And he also shares what he's learned about himself in the last 4 years since launching his brand and what he values most at this stage of his designer journey. So let's get to it. Welcome to the Life by Design show, my friend Charles. It's so good to see you. I know that this was impromptu, sometimes you got to get in where you can fit it in.
Right.
But I'm so happy to see you here. Thank you for joining me for a conversation about all things in your world. So the last time we saw each other, it was last summer, right?
It was last summer. It was a great day.
It
It was last minute as well.
It
I think
was.
it was last minute.
After a trade show.
Right. The fabric shows. Right.
Yeah, how was that show for you?
It was great. Connected with a lot of people in terms of packaging and fabric sourcing and so forth and so forth. Since I don't have a bigger bulk of production, Premiere has been one of the best trade shows that I've followed for over a few years now.
That's my favorite as well. And it depends on what type of product you're producing, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Who your customer is, there are different levels to the fabrics for the different shows. I'm excited to dive into this episode, but before we go all the way in, I want to be sure you've heard about the label launch blueprint. Staying stuck in DIY mode has caused too many talented designers to burn out. So after decades of experience in the fashion industry, I've taken all of my brand, design, sample development, marketing, and production expertise and put together an easy-to-follow step-by-step roadmap so you can take the guesswork out of your launch strategy. No more going around in circles, wondering what to do when and how to do it, and not having support along the way. I want you to give yourself the gift of clarity. Head over to cmdesignagency.com/label launch blueprint for more info, and I cannot wait to connect with you. Now let's get back to it. So, who is Tchaikovsky?
Well, I live a modest life, and it's a funny thing that we're connected today. I think today is a great day. I've been fasting all day today, so it's great for us to be chatting a bit. I think ultimately, if I were to describe myself, I would say that I'm extremely empathetic when it comes to the world issue. I try to be as socially responsible as possible. I'm empathetic. I'm extremely kind, thoughtful. There's so many things. I don't like to talk about myself, I guess because I'm a bit modest when it comes to speaking of myself. I'm selfless in some ways, but also there's a good and a bad, right?
Work on.
Yeah, right. I think for the past 4 years, I could be a workaholic. So I can say that's one of the cons. So in terms of figuring out a great balance for myself, I guess work-life balance is difficult for me. I think it's a driving force for me to be active, right? But for the past 4 years, I'm in a space of a major transformation in my life, both mentally, physically, emotionally. So lately I've been practicing stillness and being still. It allows me to speak to myself a little bit more in terms of what the things that I want and how will I accomplish. I'm focused now in terms of what are next steps with my life, what makes me happy, and just to navigate from there. So I'm grateful for the space that I'm in right now.
That's fantastic. And I know that stillness, you talked about it. I find when I'm more still, I can hear myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I get so much from that as well.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So of course we want to talk about the fact that you are an incredible creative.
Oh, thank you. I'm okay.
You're okay. Yeah, WWE and CFDA, which is okay, right?
Yeah, I'm okay. I try not to compare myself because I do feel that each
Yeah.
individual has a certain footprint. I do have a point of view, but ultimately I do feel that, we each have our own special sauce, but I'm no different than the next person.
Yes. It's
Yeah.
just you went after it. You
Yeah.
didn't listen to any naysayers. You just moved forward. But I want to dive in deeper to your brand, Scorcesa.
Yes.
So, what before we even get to that though, was that your first collection, or was there a creative Charles before Scorsese was even born?
Hey, here's the scoop. The scoop is that I had a namesake brand. So it was
Mm,
Tchaikovsky. It
mm,
was a signature label
okay.
that I had a while back. I'm not gonna go far back, but if you do look at my Instagram, you will see the progress that I've had over the years,
Mm,
and I've never deleted any of my images.
mm,
It was a transitional brand where from
mm.
day to evening,
Ooh, okay.
and so forth. It was making major progress and in a way where, we were chatting with buyers, um, and considering so many different avenues to build a brand. But ultimately, you get discouraged when you're working when you're in an industry that's not as supportive. Now and then it's completely different,
Yeah.
right? And especially if you're going, if you're working on development and you are sourcing your pattern makers and so forth and so forth.
Mhm.
Then it was extremely difficult to even have a conversation with someone because I don't like to pull the race card,
Bro.
but I do feel at
That
times the
era.
aunties and the uncles weren't as receptive to you. It
Mm,
could be many different things, right? But ultimately, I do feel that they weren't as comfortable with doing business
or
with you. So, but with the discouragement, I left. The goal was to also go back to Haiti and do a
Mhm.
small little atelier type model,
Ooh,
and do some import and export, very minimal. And so the earthquake happened. The things that were being shipped to Haiti and, sourcing things from different part of the country, went kaput. And the funny thing is, my mother and I had a conversation the other day. We are saying how we spent so much money towards that project, and but you can't think of the past so much. And also my mother has been a driving force to my growth, and she's been extremely supportive with me
mhm.
going into the arts. Which Caribbean parent wants that? Things are changing.
Goodness. I'm surprised too that my family was supportive because that's
Hmm.
not as common. They want you to do something that is
Hmm.
more uh, mainstream,
Yeah,
viable,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So being an artist is
yeah.
up
That's
list.
frowned upon. That's frowned upon.
Yeah.
And she was extremely supportive, and I'm forever grateful.
So she seems like a great influence on your life. So
Oh
tell
my God, she's awesome. She's awesome. The funny thing is, if we were to switch the roles, I think I'm the parent, and she's the young adult. It's actually like, oh my God, you're home all the time. Why are you home? Go out and so forth. Like I said, for the past 4 years, I think I've been extremely still. Stillness has been like my main goal currently. I don't have a television, do not have cable,
oh,
and it allows me to go and venture out
mm,
and
oh,
be with nature. As weird as it sounds, but I pick and choose what I want to see. I pick and choose what I want to listen to, and that's where my current state of mind is at the moment.
so what made you realize that you needed to take that time for you to become still so you can become focused, so you can
Hmm.
learn yourself even in a deeper way? How did you even realize it was time for you to be more introspective?
I think for me, though, it's been my personal experiences with the world, and my interaction with individuals, which allow me to be in that space of mind. This is full transparency. I found myself being in a space where my kindness to some individuals
Mm.
may never be reciprocated how you would think would be reciprocated, right? And so for the longest while, I'm thinking to myself, like, am I the issue? Am I the problem?
Am I the drama?
Right.
Okay,
Am I
you
the
have to
drama?
put
Am
that.
I the problem? And the thing is, it allowed me to meditate a little bit more. And I felt to myself like, you know what, I think it's time for me to
Choose your
be my own cheerleader, right? And be the best person that I can be for me and
yes.
put myself first. You know, not everyone is going to receive your kindness the way you think that it should be received. And so that's where I'm at the moment. I do feel I have this little alter ego that I always say that, oh, I'm Charles the Good, like I'm Charles the Good. And I do believe that I am. But there was one instance that I can share with you. I've come to a point where I've become a little bit more spiritual myself. And there was a woman that I met before the pandemic, which is that to me, the day you realize who you are as a person, then the world would understand who you are and receive you the way you want to be received. And from that one, my world spiraled. There were moments I'm in tears. There were moments I'm extremely joyful. It's been an amazing 4 years. So I think now I know what my purpose is, and I'm sticking to that and then moving forward.
Ooh, let's talk about that a little bit. It sounds like she saw something in you that you were just barely starting to see in
Yeah.
yourself, and you've now embraced that
Yeah.
and are growing because of it. So
Yeah.
that has led you to your purpose. So what
Yeah.
is your purpose?
I think ultimately my purpose, I'm still figuring it out.
Mm.
But, you know, I think part of my purpose is to be socially responsible. You know, as a business owner and as a brand, I have to think of the humans. I have to think of the human design. There are some kind people out there. And so being socially responsible is a personal goal, a major goal of mine to allow into my business. So
It's so interesting. I love how you put that because many times when you have a talent, when you're creative in particular, people think, even the person with the talent sometimes thinks that is their purpose. But creativity is just a vehicle that's going to facilitate your purpose.
yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
in itself.
Yeah. I mean, Scorcesa, when I launched the brand, I wasn't in a space where it was about the financial gain.
Mm.
Scorcesa for me was a love letter to brides to say, I am being a part of your journey, right? Not only am I being a part of your journey, but also the garment I'm creating, a piece of art I'm creating, it's also it's potentially transcending through time. Even 10 years from now, you'd be able to say, you know, I did a great job. You know, and also the other aspect of the overall vision was to understand that, you know what, these are two individuals that are saying yes to love. They're
Yeah.
saying yes to love. They're
Yeah.
saying yes to a future. They're saying yes to building and they're doing it as a unit.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that was, you know, we talk about purpose. This is the purpose, and to me, I kind of felt that, you know, that's the reason why I'm doing it. When I go on and when I'm trying to draft patterns, trying development and so forth, and I'm saying to myself like, what is the purpose? I'm like, oh my God, your purpose is in front of you. You know, I have a few brides that I'm working with as we speak. And there's one specific bride that I have is a very good friend of mine. And, you know, to understand the story from when her and her partner were having a conversation and she was considering the thought of marriage. And then to be in a space where, oh my God, I'm getting proposed to. I got proposed. And then we're going through the overall scenario of, you know, the location, the dress, and everything and so forth. I mean, how fulfilling is that? That's where my happiness is.
Mm.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Scorcesa is an unusual name for a brand. How did you come up with that name?
So Scorcesa wasn't is a play on word of
Okay.
my grandmother's names. You know, and that's how I figured it out. But initially I wanted to name the brand after a great grandmother of mine. Um
That's
that's one name I'm not sharing anytime soon. But so and then the first four initials were the first four initials of her name. So I figured I just use the different spellings of my grandmother, my mother, grandfather, and really sink in the heritage aspect of it. And that's how I came with the name.
Wow.
I played around with it for a bit. It took me a month to figure it out, and I gelled it all together. I guess the pros and cons of I guess the con is I'm extremely private, and
Right.
so the current world that we're in requires that you speak of things. There are certain elements of my life where I would like to keep personal, like even sharing my grandmother's names. I feel like that's extremely private to me.
It is.
Not a lot of things need to be shared to everyone, and I love to keep it that way.
Yes, but hello, you named the brand Scorcesa.
Mm,
So there's a
yeah.
story there.
And-
And I think
and-
customers
right.
love to know that. I think
Yeah.
that's part of the challenge of starting and marketing a brand. I mean, I believe it or not, even though now I'm all over social media, but I'm very private as well.
Yeah.
It took effort to show up the way I have, and it takes effort for every brand owner to do the same, but it's required. There is no blossoming or up and coming or aspiring brand out there that's going to really make it if they're not very visible these days.
Yeah.
So
It's true.
those little stories, like that precious story about your grandmother's names, even without disclosing the exact name of the grandmother you had in mind. Oh my gosh, do you know
Yes.
how impactful that would be?
Yeah.
That
Do we all have to share everything that
you don't
everyone
have to share everything, but with the
has?
you should share the things that you're comfortable sharing. Of course, don't share anything you really don't want to share. So
Right.
some things I will never share. They're just
Hmm.
private. I get that.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes.
But share the things that have such beauty and that you are comfortable sharing, because that's how you get raving fans. That's how you get people to really understand your heart, the vision, the idea behind the brand. And people buy from people. They're not
Yeah.
buying the gown per se. They're buying because of you. Oh my gosh. And what
Hmm.
is the love there, right?
Yeah.
That story is so precious. So
Hmm.
I would encourage you to, yeah, go keep sharing, share more.
No, I mean, I do appreciate your platform. I do appreciate having the conversation. Ultimately, it's one of these things that, I've kept private. So
Mm,
at times it may come off as if like there's not a solid understanding of the brand name or how the brand name was conceptualized. And so, I receive what you're saying, but in due time.
in due time.
In due time.
Well, you've shared it here, so this will be out soon. Found upon what you started, the seed you just planted. In your own time. It really does have
And
to be
due
in your own
time.
timing. You have to feel good about it. You never want to blurt something out on social media that feels bad,
Yeah,
feel
absolutely.
regretful. So it's personal. This is your personal journey. Just, now that you've blurted it out here and shared. So
There's more. There's
ways.
more. The story is a little bit more complicated. It's a little bit more complex than your usual brand name story. When I created Scorcesa, I was going through a ton of different hurdles in my life.
Mm,
And so um well, my back was against the wall. And especially when the world was at a standstill and people were wondering if they would make it in the next month,
oh
right?
gosh, yes.
During the pandemic. And so, you're hearing, oh, this person didn't make it. This person was admitted to the hospital, and
I,
things weren't working. And you say to yourself, what would I accomplish for the rest of my life if, God forbid, my life was taken tomorrow?
yeah,
Would I
yeah.
leave this earthly plane happy or content or
Mm, mm,
fulfilled? And then I just
mm.
used the different elements and I created a name.
All right, so tell us a bit more about the Scorsese woman.
Because the Scorsese customer is the woman that is looking for something that's unconventional. She's also someone that is seeking a versatile look that's going to transcend through time.
Would you intentionally go into another category?
Non-bridal, you're saying.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm heading the opposite direction. How
Hey.
contemporary as Scorsese is now,
Mhm.
um, it's requiring for me to go into atelier,
Mhm.
um, a little bit more, extravagant,
A bit of embellishment.
a little bit of embellishment, a little bit of jazz, a little bit of, a little bit of, a little zhuzh.
Mm,
Yeah, that's in the works.
more high end and more exclusive,
Mm-hmm.
intentional. Okay, I can't wait to
Yeah,
see it.
a little bit more bells and just bring your bells and whistles and all the works, all the perks
Mm,
that will be included in the pieces.
fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, so what does a typical day in the design studio look like for you?
So right now, given that we're heading into pushing atelier, I have conceptualized a little bit more these days. So now it's the developing patterns, sourcing textiles that are not your typical guipure or
Mm,
but more of a not so much traditional, but more of a modern take to it. Now I'm considering to custom embroidery. So my day to day requires for me to it's a ton of emails, a ton of calls, a ton of follow ups,
well,
a ton of oh no, you don't have this, no, you don't have that, no, why
what do
not?
you have that's like it? Right.
And that you're getting heartbroken because
Yeah.
you have to meet a minimum, and your minimum is like okay, and the mill is like yeah, we can't do that. You have to order X, Y, Z. And then also too, with part of development requires for you to understand your price structure. So I'm working on that as well.
Yeah. I
So
mean,
it's difficult. It's difficult. So those are my day to day. It's my day to day.
okay.
Figuring these things out, bringing these new elements, and so forth. So that's what we're working on.
I was just talking to Mikkel. You know Mikkel, right? From from 383 Design? He's
Yes,
the,
yes,
the
yes. Mhm.
incubator in Clubhouse. So she was talking about the fact that many people think that being a designer is just all the draping and the drawing and the playing with fabric.
No, no. There's so much to be considered. You have to think about development,
Yeah.
and that's a lot in itself. You have to consider dealing with a different time zone in
And
some cases, and you have to consider, what is going to work for your business ultimately. So, that's just how things are. You have to be extremely strategic
oh
when
yeah.
it comes to dealing with the mills and so forth. So it's a lot.
Do you do pre-orders or do you have a certain amount of inventory on hand?
No, I don't have much inventory on hand. So I do currently pre-orders
Mm.
is the driving force to my business. And there's a pro and con to pre-orders. When you don't have things available right away, especially when someone wants it now, they want it
Mm.
now. And so I'm navigating that as well. But ultimate,
Yeah, I
yeah,
imagine for bridal, it's a bit more precarious because I mean, they can't change their wedding date, right?
they
So,
can.
yeah,
And so there's a lot of hurdles right now that I'm dealing with. Not only the brand story aspect, but I'm also considering the back end of things.
yeah.
Like you said earlier, in terms of purpose, right? I think for me though, it was either I pursue what my true passion was
Mm-hmm.
or wait. And waiting
Right.
was not an option.
No, I was saying the other day, tomorrow's not promised.
No, no.
I mean, you're in New York like I was. I'm gonna put on my glasses so I can see a little better. Like, why can't I see? Hello. Yeah, if you lived through COVID in New York, you know that you need to move forward and live life with urgency
Hmm.
because it was a time that gave us great clarity about the importance of how you live each day.
Yeah, yeah,
How,
absolutely. 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 It allows you to put things in perspective and,
yeah.
to potentially move forward. I feel like time is precious
Oh yeah,
and there's no need for you to waste it. I know I no longer am wasting any time.
nice. What has been the best business advice you have received, or advice that you would give to an up and coming designer?
The one advice that I've received, which I thought was beneficial to my career, the Kate Piper, I should mention her name because if it wasn't for her, I think I would have went a different direction.
Wow.
Yes, and what she said to me was a while back when a while back when I first started, she said, You need to learn your industry.
Oh, yes. Oh, that's good advice.
You need to learn your industry, and you need to work for someone. And then from there, you can decide if you would like to move forward, if not. And I worked for someone for a few years, and I worked for a few other people for a few years. And then I thought that, okay, I think it's time for me to go on my own. But also, there are personal journeys that you go through where you just don't have a choice but to go on your own. And I'm forever grateful for Nikkei.
Mm.
Her and I we haven't connected in so long. But she said to me to understand your industry, immerse yourself with like-minded individuals. It's going to propel you to be better. And then branch on your own. That was the best advice that I received. So I'm grateful for great advice.
Sick.
Phenomenal.
Yes, I love it. So, what's the last book you read, and how did it help to elevate your designer journey?
The last book I read was The Mountain Is You.
Ooh,
The Mountain Is You by Brianna Weiss.
God,
Yeah, it's a great book. It's a good read.
that sounds
Especially if you're trying to unlock a better version of yourself. There are so many points of self-sabotage that I didn't know existed until reading this book. So it allows you to unlock your potential to be who you truly are. And it's a great book. I highly recommend it.
wow. I'm gonna look that up.
Yeah, it's
The
good.
title itself sounds like,
The mountain is you. The mountain is you.
and it typically is, isn't it? For all of us, we have to get past ourselves.
Yeah, we do. The self-sabotage moments. You have to
The
be.
idea of what things should look like and be like at every moment, trying to be perfect all the time, is what causes self-sabotage.
Yeah.
That delay.
Especially in fashion. In fashion, you have to be extremely perfect. And so I
Do
think
you
it's
anymore though? Do you have to? Does it have to be perfect, or does it have to be perfectly you, perfectly yours?
perfectly you. That is what it is. That's what it should be. But then again, when you do sit in social media, you do that, the world is perfect and so forth.
No, it's not. We know the things that look perfect. We know. We just know it's not.
I guess I hold it back a lot in terms of what my thought process is that is concerned. So I have to be on the fence here. And not really dig too deep into the world of social media.
I think you really have to curate your feed intentionally. You can't just let random things take up your time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
One thing that I like to add to that is that it's always good to ask for help. I feel I know my strengths and weaknesses, and so although I understand my strengths, I think my weaknesses need improvement. And I don't have any issues of reaching out and asking for help, but I would love to do it a little bit more. I could get in my ways into it.
Because when you're a person that does a lot, you feel like you should be able to figure everything out, right?
Yeah.
So I was just talking to some designers the other day, and talking about the fact that I have always had mentors on purpose, and more than one. It's okay to need the help. It doesn't say anything about you. You're not falling short because you need to expand your purview on a topic or on anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I learned that one through therapy.
Therapy is great.
One time, yeah, there was a time when I had a really rough season, and I've always believed in therapy for other people, right? If you need therapy, go get the therapy. What's wrong with therapy? But I had never gotten it because I'm highly self-aware, very introspective. I thought I could just figure some things out. But the biggest thing I learned from therapy is that I need to ask for more. And I was like,
That part, asking for more. That part, asking for more.
well, in my I need to ask. Like, why are you not asking? So yes. Okay, to your point. Next question I want to ask is, how can people connect with you and support your brand?
How can the audience support Scorcesa?
Yes.
Ooh, there's so much work to be done, but ultimately, I do feel a simple share
Okay.
goes a long way. I do feel like word of mouth is also effective.
Where do they tap in?
Scorcesa, Scorcesa. It's on Pinterest, on
Mm.
TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook. Although Facebook is not mentioned a lot these days, but it's everywhere.
So is there anything that we did not talk about that I did not ask you that you would like to share? Anything?
Absolutely. What I would like to share is that Scorcesa is the epitome of bridal contemporary, with a splash of my heritage to boot.
Ooh,
Oftentimes, Scorcesa caters to the brides that are opting out for a look for their micro weddings, courthouse weddings, intimate settings, destination weddings, and so forth, which doesn't require for something as to be over conceptualized. But then again, you do get a few brides that do want that moment for themselves, and I truly love that. And part of my business moving forward may consider atelier, but ultimately, Scorcesa is everything contemporary. So if you think about the silhouettes, they're extremely clean and modern, separates, bridal separates, a lot of suiting, a lot of menswear, menswear elements, double-breasted suits, a lovely pair of trousers, and so forth. So there's so much to consider moving forward in terms of atelier. Oftentimes my brides would say, well, we do love these elements, but would you able to add maybe a longer train or a course-headed look for us, and so the brand moving forward will require for us to tap into to the custom to actually but ultimately my brides are not only fashion forward, but also they're looking for elements that's going to complement their bridal story. I always say this: Scorsese has extremely modest but big ideas currently, so we'll see where it goes from there. There's so much to consider when you're pushing a brand where resources are limited, and you have to be extremely strategic in that front. I do believe in the brand so much more than I felt before. And honestly speaking, the brand surprises me from time to time, as weird as
thinking, Charles, because hello, even with your limited resources, can you just rattle off all of the publications?
oh my
Mr. Limited Resources. Can we hear?
I thought, oh well, listen, I'm
Can you
not
just
giving
give me
myself
at
enough
least
credit
10?
for all the work that I've done.
Like rattle them off. Let's hear it. Where have
Let me give myself some credit here, right?
yeah.
I'm extremely grateful for that, and I think it goes back to saying to myself, to understand your industry, to immerse yourself with the industry, with the like-minded individuals that's also going to support you. I've been fortunate enough to have some great support in that front. So I'm always looking forward to more relationships. Relationships are great in fashion, as you know. But ultimately, I'm gonna give myself credit. Maybe I am doing a damn thing.
And I see avoiding listing them, but I'm gonna instead, can you list some of the publications where
Oh
customers
my
potential
God.
customers may have seen you and didn't even realize that you were the face behind the brand?
Yeah. Well, Scorsese have gotten some great coverage. I speak of Scorsese in third person as that it's its own entity, its own person.
It is.
Scorsese have been featured in Vogue, Town and Country,
Mm.
Brides. Scorsese have been featured in Fashionista, The Zora Report. Now we're talking about a few of the other Vogue placements, like Vogue Spain, Vogue Russia, Harper's Bazaar's Arabia. And the funny thing is, after that placement, I did receive a few brides from the UAE.
Oh wow.
There's some element to my brand and the design aesthetics that are a little bit more covered, and they absolutely love that. I find myself in a space where a lot of the international clients are considering coming for a fitting, or to see the pieces and so forth. You have to have a certain minimum for you to get the cost markup. And so those are the things that you have to consider when it comes to the business. And things are forever changing, right? But I just have to be a little bit more strategic in that space.
Mhm.
But I appreciate that
That's all right.
for pointing that out. Yeah, I am doing the damn thing,
Yes,
aren't I?
you are. Yes, you are. Pat yourself on the back, please.
I'm by far not the most braggadocious person where I'm going to
You are
like
very much.
spill all of it, you know. And I think for me though, I think I need to get into that space.
You do, because I mean, I get the modesty. It's because
Mm,
you're humble, right?
super,
But
extremely.
you've done the work.
I've
There's
done it. I
a little more to do, for all of us, but you've done a huge portion of the work.
mm-hmm.
You have the right to celebrate yourself.
Oh my God,
Say,
yeah,
hey,
yes.
I'm doing this thing and I
Mhm.
still love doing it. Yeah, I think you could share that on social media.
Yeah.
Little bit of
No,
that.
absolutely. I'm a bit more traditional.
I
Um,
am a traditional, came up traditionally. I'm from Trinidad. I get it.
mhm.
But listen, the fact is you've done great things and you've
I truly
barely
did.
scratched the surface. You're just really getting started. And
Yeah, I am. I am. There's so many things that I have to consider, in itself. And so I'm grateful of the journey. I'm grateful of what to come. I'm grateful of what it is now.
yeah.
And I try to be in the present, and to navigate that space and then figure it out from there. And I'm grateful for you. And I think ultimately you've been also one of the individuals that have reached out and vice versa and have shared some insights. Like I always say, information is always needed,
Sure.
because you never know, you can utilize it in ways you can't possibly think of. And I think ultimately I've gotten some intel from you, or you've shared some insights where I've put into practice and I've helped greatly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you're a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah.
You're a wealth of knowledge. You're also one that have gone through working for others in order for you to propel forward in terms of,
Absolutely. I had
yes.
over a decade in corporate, as I lived that whole life, and then I started my company,
Yeah.
my first company.
Mhm.
And, but not everybody has that chance to work for corporate. So many designers that, you know, BIPOC designers in particular, and women designers, that there are more male designers at the top. I could tell you that from being there than female. I mean,
Well, I
there's a
think we need to do a I
lot
think we need to do a part two when we debunk all the injustice that are currently and are currently in
going
fashion,
on.
especially for our our BIPOC brothers and sisters out there that are really like, we want to make a difference, but however, they have so much roadblock that are
Yeah,
not propelling them for them to move forward.
right.
There's a ton of politics, right? If you look in our current landscape, you wonder, oh my God, why am I a part of that, right? But then again, you have to understand that a lot of these creatives are pushing forward for something that they truly believe in.
Of course.
They have a point of view which they feel the world would benefit from,
Mhm.
right? And so, when you're in a space where sometimes it can be a little bit more, I guess, where every industry it's saturated, but I do feel like we're all not the same.
No,
We're
absolutely.
all not the same.
And that's a good thing. I mean, everybody has their own uniqueness and their own aesthetic and
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
their eye for a certain detail
Mm-hmm.
type of design that they bring to the table. And they should be able to bring it to market if they have the dedication and the focus and the passion for the customer that they serve. The
Mm-hmm.
only reason so many have not been able to launch viably is because of the gatekeeping in the industry. They don't really know how.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
don't really know how to actually do it from start to finish,
Yeah.
which is part of my life's work right now.
Yeah. No,
Is
you're doing an
spreading out
amazing job. I commend you for taking that initiative. I think,
things.
when I spoke on social responsibility, that is you're being socially responsible.
I mean, I'm just one of the unicorns in the industry. I mean, how many others were like me? So because of that grace I was given, I feel obligated.
Yeah.
I feel it's my duty to give it back
hmm
because I don't see a whole lot of that happening anywhere. And I've always wanted to do it anyway. I always wanted to give it all away and bring people into the industry, but there was no way to
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
Well, now I can do it freely because I work for myself.
Good for you.
You know what I mean?
Good for you. And the thing is, you're living in your purpose.
This is part of my purpose. My purpose,
hmm
I've always been creative, but behind the scenes, I've always had a heart for people who have been unseen, people who
Mm.
have been disregarded, underestimated, left behind,
hmm
pushed into a corner. I'm like,
hmm
no, 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 no. Let them step into the thing that makes their heart smile. And I want them to embrace the fact that they deserve to have a voice in this industry and
Yeah.
and beyond. And
Yeah.
beyond. So anyway, enough about me.
Yeah. About you, all right. No,
Okay.
I truly appreciate your platform. So it's your platform has always been insightful.
Thanks.
I've taken away a few components that allow me to put into practice, and has helped a great deal. And I know we come back from when the clubhouse was
All right.
was
When
on
it was
fire. Yeah, clubhouse was the space to be once upon a
yes,
time, and then
it was.
how it died so drastically.
It really did. But I'm gonna even go back there, Charles, because now that I have this platform, this new platform, no, I'm gonna share it there too, because all of those designers tapped in from all
Mhm.
around the globe because there was nowhere they could find that information.
Yeah,
So no, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna
tap in, go back.
go back
But the
into
thing
my
is,
heart.
but no, no, truly, I think maybe okay. But I mean, I feel like Clubhouse was the mecca
It-
of
right, yeah.
all things communication,
Mhm.
right? There are moments of laughter. There are moments of you know sharing information, and there are moments of networks. But I think ultimately, I've connected with a ton of
Yeah,
individuals that I'm currently in connect with now.
same.
So I'm extremely grateful for this. I truly appreciate having a moment to just chat things out.
Okay, yes. Well, thank you for spending this time with me. Thank you for being
Yeah.
generous and divulging some of the things that you were even a little uncertain about.
That's always me. That's me in a nutshell. I'm like, is that did I
Was
no,
it too much?
no, that's the word.
It was not too much. And I think because of your humility and
Thank you.
your forthrightness, it's going to encourage others that feel the same way to dare to show up and dare to speak things out loud that are meaningful and that matter and that will help to bring them closer to their own purpose. So I think it was all fantastic. So thank you, Charles.
Oh my God, I'm thrilled. I'm beyond thrilled to hear, and I received it as well. I do believe that you are heading in the right direction. You're extremely purposeful as well.
Thank you.
Um, Thank you for your humility. I mean, you've been extremely thoughtful.
Okay, we can't keep talking about me, Charles.
We won't talk about you, but I do feel like
Sorry.
it's part of
I'm sorry.
it's part of reciprocating how they will call it, the energy. But I truly appreciate being a part of the platform, and I can't wait to hear all the amazing exchanges in the near future
I have a
that you
couple.
have. So I'm looking forward to hearing those,
Yeah.
and also taking away from those insights as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have one last question for you.
One last question. Okay.
Once you've lived all the life you were born to live, that you came here to experience, and you've transcended into eternity,
Mhm.
how do you hope to be remembered? What kind of legacy would you hope to have left behind?
Oh wow, that's a tough question, but it's also poetic. We're projecting in the future,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Sure.
I would love to be in a space of happiness. I would love to have accomplished all the goals that I've set out to accomplish. Wow. I guess I really didn't think about, I really didn't think about the future. Um, this is a personal question, Charmaine.
Listen. Mm.
And extremely poetic. And I received that. But ultimately, I want to be happy. I want to be at peace. And
For those who experienced you when you were here, and those that you hoped to impact, what do you hope to have left them with?
oh my goodness, maybe we should have this conversation in 10 years. But one thing that I would love to share, though, is that I was considerate.
Oh, that's good.
I
Yeah.
was considerate. I think that's one of the words that I would love to be remembered by.
Wow. Yes.
Then I thought about the things that matter,
Mm-hmm.
and I was being mindful of everyone and so forth. Another takeaway is that people pleasing, it's never a good thing, right?
It's not.
We have to be able to consider ourselves first.
Yes, you included. Yes, good point. Good point.
Yeah,
All right. Well, this was wonderful.
this was lovely.
I appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate you as well. I thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome, and I can't wait to see what else is to come for
Yeah,
Scorcesa. You've
stay
done
tuned.
amazing
Stay tuned.
things. Yes, I can't wait.
Mhm.
Thank you for tuning in to the Life by Design show. We welcome your feedback, so if you enjoyed today's episode, please like, subscribe, leave a review, or share it with your friends. And if there's someone you think I should consider bringing in for a combo, send me a DM on social. Thank you again, and I'll see you on the other side.